Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Humor in the C-Suite. My guest this week is Dan Macqueen. We all know there are two things in life you can't escape: death and taxes. Well, actually, there's a third. It's a crisis you couldn't have predicted. For Dan Macqueen, it was a brain hemorrhage. As Mike Tyson famously said, everyone has a plan until you're punched in the mouth. And as Dan says, what will your team members do when faced with a surprise emergency, the now what moment? A severe brain hemorrhage left Dan unable to walk, talk, or even smile. And the lessons he learned getting back on his feet literally can be used by any business or person facing adversity. He can boost your team's spirit and resilience by showing them a way out through perspective shifting life hacks. He has been described as a spellbinding storyteller, a gifted and authentic speaker, and he inspires audiences with a message of hope and perseverance. We had a great chat how he used humor to get through it all. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode. So please welcome Dan Macqueen. Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Kate, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy. I'm actually thrilled to have you on. Your story is so unique and you really use humor to overcome so much in your life. So I'd love to get into it. So tell everyone, who the hell are you? What's happening?
Well, that's a loaded question, Kate. It's a loaded question. I'm a speaker. I'm a Canadian. I'm a world traveler. I'm a brain injury survivor, which is probably where this story starts off for us. So my story takes place in London, jolly old, not London, Canada, as many Canadians ask. No, London, jolly old. In 2014, so let's go back into 2014, shall we? I was having these headaches that were getting persistently worse over a few weeks. Taking painkillers like candy for them, my head was pounding. The headaches would get so bad, my vision would turn spotty, and see stars would just go black. Black like blinding headaches. So I'm in the tube one day, getting around London, going to Notting Hill Gate Station on the District line. The gorgeous District line. And the headaches were so bad that my vision started to flake out and started to be a bit spotty. As we lumbered towards Notting Hill Gate Station, the vision started to go. And I arrived at Notting Hill Gate Station, stepped onto the platform, mind the gap, and the curtain fell. I couldn't see, Kate. Now I want to ask you, Kate, what would you do as an able-sighted person your whole life? All of a sudden you're blind. What's your first thought? What do you do? Like, I didn't really know what to do. What would you do?
I think I'd lose my mind.
Well, I wish I could say I had any sort of response to that. I did not. I stood there and I thought and I thought and I thought some more. And then 3 minutes later, my vision came back. And I carried on with my task for the day. And then I went back to A&E the next day because I'm like, there's something wrong here. This is not normal. And, they thought it was vertigo again. They sent me home. But on the way up, they told me I could always get my eyes checked at an optometrist, right? An optometrist, you say. The eyes are an extension of the brain. That makes sense. So the next day, I found myself in Mr. Patel's chair. He was midway through a routine exam when he stops the exam. He hands me a sealed envelope and he tells me you need to go directly to Moorfields Hospital, which I did. Kate, tell a lie, my dear. I stopped at home first to grab a Jack Reacher book by Lee Child, a phone charger to my teeth, and we went to Moorfields Hospital. They ran the same test there after I handed them the envelope, and they asked me to Charing Cross Hospital. We're getting somewhere. I think this is good. This is great. It turns out I had a dangerous buildup of pressure in my brain caused from a non-cancerous cyst in my head. Turns out I required emergency brain surgery tomorrow. Turns out my world would change altogether. After a frantic back and forth with the folks in Canada, the last text message my mom receives reads, "I'll see you soon, Mom. Think I'll have a new haircut next time I see you. Love, Dan." So, Mom's in the air flying to London on June 21st, 2014. I'm on the operating table. Something goes horribly wrong, and I have a massive bleed in the brain, a brain hemorrhage. Then the cyst burst when they operated. So Mom lands and finds I'm in critical condition. I was in a coma for 4 weeks. I was in and out of consciousness for months after that. Things were dicey, touch and go. When all was said and done, I was learning how to walk, how to talk, and how to smile again. That's kind of where my story kicks off, Kate, and that's where, things went from 0 to 60 in a matter of, 8 hours for me. So it was kind of a dramatic start to things, if we can say that.
Oh my God, just a little bit. Thank God for the eye doctor. Oh my God.
He's a lifesaver. I went to see him afterwards and got a good photo with him, so it was in my deck, which is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. I had a good optometrist joke during COVID because I felt like every optometrist was waiting for 2020, like that was going to be their year. You know what I mean? Like they had all the
Yeah,
magnets
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Didn't end up being about them, but they waited for it.
For sure. No in-person meetings at all.
That is
So,
a crazy story, and I'm glad you're here to tell it.
well, thanks,
And
Kate.
yeah, and tell it you are. And during your recovery, how much, how much, how was humor important to you?
Humor was everything. Like, I mean, I've got a pretty dark sense of humor, and like I would learn how to walk in the hospital. You know, I'd call it I'm on my Ferrari now, which is like my four-wheeled walker that was in Ferrari Racing Red. I'm learning how to walk just out of a wheelchair. And I'm calling this thing my Ferrari. Like this, you're not moving that fast, bud. But I called it my Ferrari because it was in Ferrari Racing Red. Not even funnier. Then I moved up to naked walks. Now, what's a naked walk, you may ask, Kate? I was just walking out square A's, but the reaction I got from people saying I was going for a naked walk was just like, "Oh, Dan, I don't think you're allowed to do that." I'm like, "Wow, I'm going to go for a naked walk, but you check it out." But like, I just like having fun, just like playing with the dark stuff because it's very taboo stuff that you're kind of talking about, like. And then, the eye patch goes, I got a picture of my deck where I wore the eye patch the wrong way up. It's upside down, I call it. So I call this my confused pirate look, right? And it's like, that gets a laugh. It's like, well, can you laugh at this guy's wearing the eye patch the wrong way?
Did you lose
It's
sight in that eye, Dan?
Sorry?
Did you lose sight in that eye?
No, so I have double vision, Kate, which means I get the pleasure of seeing two of you. I don't wear this. Not that I
Oh,
don't want to see two of you, Kate, but it's quite distracting. So I want you
yeah,
to
I
see
bet.
one today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be, yeah.
Well, just like finding humor in these light ways that just made this a little more navigable, like negotiable. I could navigate the difficult stuff and the hard corners and find the light in the situation that's a bit dark, right? Because it's a very dark hole I found myself down. And like if you can't find the light in it, man, you're gonna have a tough time. You can't laugh at yourself and laugh at your situation. Like it took 45 minutes to get in the wheelchair, then 40, then 35, then 30, then 25, then 20. Like everything was difficult, arduous, like really difficult to do. And like if I didn't laugh at this stuff, you're not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, you took something that had a lot of gravity to it and you brought a lot of levity to it, which is amazing. It really is. And the fact that you were able to well, that you're just able to be here today is incredible. And do you find yourself, it's 10 years, it's a decade later, and now you've started this whole new career as a speaker
Yeah,
and motivating people through the hard times. Do you find that your serious work is made meaningful through humor?
100%. And like my talk's pretty like if you look at it on the Cole's notes, like he says, brain injury survivor, two times brain injury survivor, had to learn how to walk, talk, and smile again. Like, oh, this is gonna be a dark, like horrible presentation. Like I inject humor to release that tension. Like I love the tension. Like I'll say
Yeah.
something really dark and dry, and like people are like, "Oh, this is serious. This is pretty dark." And then I'll crack a smile. They're always just joking. He's just joking. I love playing with that tension. That catch and release is pretty cool. And something I can do quite well now is just build it up. Like my talks are pretty very humor based and filled.
Oh, amazing.
Like
Do you have a favorite joke, Dan?
yeah, my favorite joke. I was thinking about this, Kate. It's a simple one. It's a Mitch Hedberg quote. So like or joke. So you might.
I love
You
Mitch,
might yeah, I
or I
love
loved
Mitch.
him.
R.I.P. Mitch. So, Kate, this shirt is dry clean only, which means it's dirty.
It's so good.
That's it. That's the joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very like blah, but it's a lovely joke by Mitch Hedberg. I love it very much. But humor for me is like my everything. Like I really enjoy this and like being able to poke fun and like turn over dark rocks and expose the darkness there. Right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
demo, I got a few good jokes that are lit up there. Like I compare myself to Michael Jordan on the demo video. Okay, I,
So-
I don't know if you saw that, but I'm like, I'm not
yeah.
comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but just like the gravitas, the ridiculousness of this little white 5'8" guy comparing himself to Michael Jordan. Like, no way, this is real. And then I go, yeah, yeah. I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan. It's helpful. It's vibrant. It keeps things light and fresh.
Yeah. Absolutely. Can you share an example, so when you're doing your keynotes now and like during your recovery and all that, are you mentoring anyone or people who have been in the same situation as you?
So this talk that I give now, my keynote is based out of a talk I used to give for outpatients at the NHS. And I give it to them once a quarter to kind of showcase the life outside of the hospital, to show them, outside of the nerfed up world of the hospital, how do you live life in a real place? And so I drop a lot of humor, a lot of funny quips and, jokes that, someone who might be like, oh, you can't joke about that. I'm like, well, I've lived through it, so I can joke about it. And like,
Yeah.
it just kind of makes it more approachable, more like, it's more fun to laugh at stuff.
And
Like you said,
it makes people
sort of,
kinder and have more empathy.
well, it just opens up too. Like they realize, like, oh, I can laugh at this. I can have a joke. Like it's like when I first wore the eye patch, and people used to be like, "Oh, he's a pirate." Like I used to really bother me initially. Like, oh, don't be so sensitive, Dan. Like people are just having fun. Like I played it up now. So I
Yeah.
see kids. I used to go swimming in the pool with the eye patch, and I'd walk by kids, and there'd be these loud, snotty kids talking away in London. The school kids, proper school kids, and they would see me talking loud, and I'd walk by, and they'd all be quiet because I think I'm a pirate. They're a real life pirate. There's a real life pirate right here, and I'd point at the loudest kid, and be like, "You." And he just loses his mind, like, "Oh my god, the pirate's coming to get me!" But it's just about like having the fun, the lightness in this stuff. Like I've got some this podcast a little while ago called it's about gaming, like a gaming podcast about play, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big gamer, Kate. So like the last video game I played was like Mario Kart 64. Shout out to Mario Kart 64 gamers back in the day. That's like 2009, 10 reference. Mario Kart 64. And he goes, talk about a video game that you know and you resonate with, right? I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, well, Mario Kart 64. He goes, okay, talk about that. So I'm like, life is like Mario Kart 64, right? You go around the laps, and on the second turn, on the left-hand side, there's an obstacle. Hit it the first time. Hit it the second time. If you hit it the third time, like, man, there's an obstacle there. Drive around that thing. Like, you know that this is happening. But make life a game. Like, life is about fun, about play. We also got a podcast called Play Loose Look Tight, Documenting the Process of Life After, Kate. Documenting the Process of Life After. And that podcast, Play Loose Look Tight, what does it mean? Great question, Kate. I'm glad you asked that. Play Loose Look Tight is a life mantra in 4 words, right? Play
Yeah.
loose, joie de vivre, have fun, live life with like a bit of fun in your life. Play is the first word by intentionality, right? Conversely, you want to look tight, on time, intention with your dress and demeanor in your spoken word. Play loose, look tight. But it just kind of showcases the life mantra I want to like bring forward and like bring to the top of the world. Is that play is the first word mentioned there. Like,
yeah.
What I love.
No, absolutely. And you know what? It's all about like teams who collaborate and have those team building days really do work better together.
100%. I think like my team in Hootsuite was really, really fun. We had a group of people in London. I worked in launch specialist or implementation specialist. So I was a post-sale honeymoon period of your product. You sign up for a new service-based person. I'd be the person to like set up your account, train you on your account, right? I got 2 stories I want to share about Hootsuite times I want to share with you. The first one was a doing training call with Transport for the North, which, I jumped on the call with them. And this is when Game of Thrones was big, right? I'm sure you watched Game of Thrones, Kate.
Oh, yeah.
So right at the episode of the King of the North episode, where Jon Snow goes, King of the North, King of the North.
Yeah.
I'm on a call with Transport for the North, right? And so like I'm on the call with them, like I love to see this call day in my calendar because Transport for the North reminds me of King of the North. King of the North. King of the North. And I stand up in the office, in a full office, shouting King of the North. And everyone's like, what is this guy on about? And I go, who watched that Game of Thrones episode last week? And I got crickets, Kate. I got crickets. No one admitted they watched it. So I did, okay, so under the admin call, we're going to dive into this today. And the whole office is like laughing that I went up this bit so hard and it failed so amazingly. But
commitment is key, baby.
You can't go half into this joke, right?
Yes.
One other joke I want to share from Hootsuite Times was me and my friend Manal Fernandez. She's going to be embarrassed. I'm using her real name on this show, but that's okay. And I met her for the first time, and she goes, and I go, "What's your favorite movie, Manel?" She goes, "Oh, I hate this question. Don't ask me this, Dan." I go, "What's your favorite movie? Tell me what your favorite movie is." So I don't know. I like movies like Fast and the Furious. And I go, "Hold on a second here. The Fast and the Furious is your favorite movie?" She goes, "Yeah. Movies like Fast and Furious." So for 2-3 years, I would pepper in our group chat quotes from the Fast and Furious. All the two, no crust. No matter if you win by an inch or by a mile, win is winning. Just like to the point where she would be like so embarrassed by this. So her wedding came up. And we were going to get a nice wedding gift from the office, like a proper wedding gift, like a couple £100. And there was a Fast and the Furious live show at the O2 that I was made aware of. So I'm like, guys, I got her wedding gift. No stress with us. Give me your money. So I bought her a Fast and the Furious live show with her husband and gave it to her and presented it to her as a gift, right, for a wedding gift. She had to tell her friends, "Where are you going this weekend?" "I'm going to see Fast and Furious." "Why are you doing that?" "My friends from work got it for as a wedding gift." And they go, "Don't they even know you?" And she had to tell them, "Yeah, I told them it was my favorite movie." So she had to go to that and enjoy that. She said it was one of the worst experiences she's been to in a live event, but it was like, you know what?
I wonder what it was in a live event. What do they do? Drive the car around?
Yeah, drive there, and you got to hold up signs like shift gears.
Oh my God. That's great.
It sounds like just a ridiculous event, but it was
yeah.
Humor makes life just more tolerable, Kate. I don't know how to say it. Like,
I know.
I push the boundaries on stuff for sure, and I probably overstep my lines with stuff that's funny and maybe a bit offensive to some people. But like,
so what do you do when it doesn't hit, Dan? Do you have a thing? Do you just apologize? How do you deal with that?
Just own it.
Yeah.
Look, I took a swing here. Sorry, it was offensive. Also, sometimes I'm like, well, can you really be offended by this? But I usually just kind of admit that, like, I try to be funny and I overstep my bounds, and
yeah,
that's most people are pretty receptive to being apologized to, and like that works. But like, if you don't take the stab, what are we really doing here? What's this all been about, Kate?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the whole playfulness and the, it leading to team collaboration and all that. I think it's really, really smart. And it's so, so important to have that aspect and, really try new things and innovation doesn't come from being stagnant. It comes from being playful, so I think it can really help.
And you got to push the boundaries to know where the boundaries are, and to fall off those boundaries from time to time will happen. Like, if you're not pushing the boundaries, you're not trying.
Yeah.
With my recovery as well, like, it's like if I'm not failing, I'm not trying hard enough. So if you don't take a stab with funny, and you mess up from time to time, you're not being funny.
Yeah.
You're being too vanilla, too soft in the comedy space, and that's not something I like to do. But it's funny that we mentioned this, Kate. Like, as a keynote speaker, as a new professional keynote speaker, I watch a ton of comedy to kind of learn stage presence, gravitas, holding the room, holding the stage properly, which is quite cool. So I wanted to ask you, Kate, what are some of your favorite comedians right now?
Oh, oh my gosh. Canadian or known? I think Taylor Tomlinson for sure. I love her. Steph Tolev, who's hitting it huge. She's originally from Toronto, but she's in the States, and she was on the Bill Burr Netflix special and stuff like that. And she's just hitting. I love oh my gosh, hold on. They're on TikTok and they're amazing. It would be oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now, but I'll get back to you. But there's amazing Canadian comics anyway, and American ones. I could say the Chappelles and the Bill Burrs, and they're all so gifted and amazing. And, there's a lot of Canadian comics that no one knows. Derek Edwards is incredible. So there's lots of people. Kyle Brownrigg, who just won the Juno Award for Best Album of the Year. Nikki Payne, who's incredible. She's on the East Coast. So yeah, there's a lot of I could go on. I mean, they're more really like family to me than anything. But it's Yeah, like I just find in the corporate environment, it's so interesting how it can really change the environment and make people feel like they can really bring their authentic selves to work and because people are there, even if they're working remotely, they're still on their computers, 6 to 8 hours a day. And when you got to have fun within those hours. It can't be all serious.
Oh, for sure.
And I think this generation is demanding way more as well.
From the office, from the environment.
Yeah, no, for sure. What benefits have you personally experienced from using humor in your life?
Well, life can be pretty serious at times, Kate. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, brain hemorrhage and learning how to walk, talk, and smiling was not my first cup of tea. It wasn't my first choice in life. But if you can't laugh at that, then you can't laugh. Like,
How long did it take you to learn all those things again?
talking took about 2 weeks. Walking took about 5 months. And smile, well, it's an ongoing. It's debatable if it's still there now.
Yeah,
But
that's a
it
smile.
was all taken away from me, right? And like, you get a choice to like how you want to face this. You want to either face this with like woe's me mentality, or like, you know what, let's just try and build this up and try and take this on.
Yeah.
The way the nurse got me talking again, Kate, was she took me down to the park. She sat me in front of these kids playing football across the park, soccer across the park. She goes, Dan, those kids across the park, they don't think you're good enough to talk, Dan. They don't think you're good enough to talk. I found out pretty quick that that's a pretty good trigger for me. And I've got some repent anger from that. So I yelled across the park. Some profanities I'll spare you and your listeners, but like, let's just say I told them I could talk pretty good, and I found that voice. But that was how I got my voice back, right?
Wow. Anger got your voice back.
Well, now it's like I'm a speaker now, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise, right? Like the walking was, that took 5 months of wheelchair bound, then Zimmer frame, then Ferrari, the naked walks, then building up to like walking into Broadway.
Yeah, I have to say I was a cleaning lady at an AIDS hospice, which is the job I actually quit to do comedy, by the way. And it was I used to have to clean all the patients' rooms, and there was this one patient named Steven, and he was going blind. It was affecting his nervous system, and he was losing his sight. And every time I cleaned his room, I would switch everything around, everything. So he had to find it. And it became this great, rapport between us. And he actually loved it because I wasn't feeling sorry for him. I was dealing with the situation with levity.
See, that's the key there, Caitlin. I think not feeling sorry for someone is like so key because like people don't want pity. That's the least thing they want in life is pity. So like, don't treat me differently. Just like, stand some bandwidth if you can, but like, don't go out of your way to like make me feel like you're taking pity on me. That's the worst thing you can do in life.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. So, okay. So in your day-to-day life, like a day in the life of Dan, are you working at all? Or are you just keynote speaking full time?
Keynote speaking full time, but every day I wake up with intentionality. I have to have like a routine that I'm set with. So I wake up early, go for a workout, get a sweat on, mood falls action.
Good job.
Hot shower, in the shower cold. And then I'm off to a meditation. I meditate for like 20 minutes in the morning.
Wow.
And then I'm on to my day. Every day is the same way, a routine-based startup system, right? Like I need to be routine-based.
That's amazing.
I'm going to take a nap before big excursions of mental, mental exertion.
Yeah.
So before the podcast, I took a little bit of a nap because I want to be fresh for you, Kate. But it's all about managing the bandwidth and the battery. So my battery's about 75% now compared to yours, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the battery drains much faster. So everything I do drains the battery. Below 50, I'm less pleasant. Below 40, I'm a bit of a prick. And like, I have to be very mindful of that. If I'm not mindful of that, then I can waste away my energy, my battery, and like I just lose the plot on stuff.
Right. Yeah. So are you, in terms of like just using humor in your day-to-day life, do you find like in those routines, have you cold plunged?
I went cold plunging last night, Kate.
Oh, I just did my first cold plunge.
It's a wild vibe. Like ice bath, it's phenomenal, but it's so good for the body just to get that initial abrasive hit of like that just giddy up and go. It's phenomenal. I do about once a month. I do cold plunge and sauna back to back, so it's very nice.
Can you imagine if we find out, you know how you always find out like 10 years from now, like wine is good for you, wine isn't good for you, or butter is good for you. It's not. And like in 10 years, it'll be like, do not cold plunge. Because
Well,
everyone is cold plunging.
I in the shower every day with the shower that's cold, right? So I always cold plunge every day in the shower.
Yeah.
Mind you, my shower in Vancouver is not that cold compared to, like, let's say yours, but like it's still an abrasive shot to the body, right? Like the cold plunge is so key because it just like reminds you you're alive and like everything gets stripped away from you. Like there's no worry about like all these little small issues in life. It's just like no, the cold is the only thing that matters, and I want to get out of this cold as fast as possible. All my worries are just fade away in the background.
Amazing. I love that. Do you find you use humor very differently when you're dealing with different people, like in terms of your family or if you're dealing with a client or a friend?
Yeah, I'm pretty dry, pretty dark. So like, if you don't know me, you might think I'm serious, but like, if I crack, that's that elusive smile, you might know I'm joking. But like, I'm pretty dry, pretty dark. But I'm a bit sarcastic to a very English sense of humor. I'm told I did a keynote in Kelowna this past summer. The lady afterwards, she's British. She goes, "Yeah, very British sense of humor." Dan, I'm like, "Well, that's wonderful." Because I lived in London for 10 years, and I really love the sense of humor they have in London. Like my favorite comedian is Ricky Gervais
Yeah.
and Nate Bargatze are my two favorite because they're understated. They're like very like the delivery is so sly and wry and dry.
Yes.
It's triple rhyming tack for you there. But I will tailor it to the audience, but like it's always going to be there. And I'll pepper in more or less based on who I think they are and how serious they want it to be.
Right.
But there'll always be some.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to be yourself either way. But yeah, it's definitely tempering it or just alternate, but no one wants to wait for permission to laugh.
No, and I think like if like I do the presentation, I try to be laughing right off the hop because it's like only you know that you can laugh during my presentation because it's like, well, this is kind of dark, this is kind of dry. What's this guy talking about? But because I pepper in so many laughs, you're like, oh, I can laugh at this. This is funny. This is like, I should have laughed. I don't know. It's like one of those shows where you're like, can I laugh at this? And like, well, he's laughing. He's gonna tell me to laugh. Like, yeah, laugh.
Were you always funny even before the accident?
I mean, Kate, I'd like to think so, but no, I think I've been always pretty dry, pretty wet, pretty funny.
Yeah, I love
I
that.
love pointing out like just weird congruencies and weird connections, and yeah, humor is a big part of my vibe, and I love stand-up comedy for that. Just to watch that and kind of incorporate that in my keynotes. And I watch a lot of stand-up now to try to map out how they do comedy and how they map out their jokes. In fact, I watched you gave a great session on Impact 11 with Matt.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
That was a phenomenal session, Kate. I don't know if I told you, but it was really
Oh,
well done.
thanks. Thanks a lot. It's interesting when you start to, it's always interesting how much you learn by teaching. Because there used to be a saying, those who do, and those who can't teach. But I don't believe that. I think teaching really makes you think about what you're doing and go, oh, what am I doing? Because half the time, like, if you were to, it was just really interesting for me to do that. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed your session. It gave word to the stuff I was using because I was like using callbacks and through lines and stuff, but I didn't know. Well, it's a callback here. That's not through line. But what's the other word you use? Like a callback?
Yeah, a callback or a tag at the end. It's like a tag is like an extra punchline to a joke for all you people listening out there.
So I love that session, Kate. It was phenomenal, but it really helped me kind of understand how I use this in my own talks and like, because my I talked about my demo video. Like I got my most controversial take coming up right now. Big pause, and they go Brussels sprouts, and then everyone laughs for a little bit, and they go, I hate them.
Exactly. A little misdirection. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And do you find that when you use humor, it makes your relationship stronger?
Oh, for sure. I think humor is key for that, right? Like you can laugh at stuff, you can bond together and just have a good time, and you're kind of united against something, like the laugh, the funny, the joke. You're on the same side of the joke. You both get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you both get it. Sometimes you don't, but if I gotta spell it out for you, it's a bit tough, but it's about fun, right? That play is so key for this. Alan Watts play, like it's such a huge vibe for this.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. So I always like to end off the episode By asking you, what is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
So, okay, this is one's at my expense for sure. I moved to Sweden for a master's in 2011. I was going to be super romantic about it, like bought my ticket to the airport. I was going to go to Croatia or Portugal. Did a week in Croatia, went to Malmo afterwards, and had like a hostel booked in Malmo for a week, right? It was Malmo Festival when I arrived. Malmo Festival, which is like a big festival in Malmo, like a big party. And I'm looking for housing, but like I'm kind of enjoying life, and I'm not really looking too hard, right? I got the hostel locked in there, so that's fine. And I go down to pick up like a sheets or like a towel or something from the front office, like maybe a week, like 5 days into it. And the guy goes, in a very Swedish accent, he goes, "Oh, I see you're staying for one more day." And I'm like, "Well, I'll probably just renew. I don't have a place yet." In Malmo, it's quite difficult to find housing. He goes, "Oh, we have a very strict 1 week policy in this hostel. You cannot stay any further than this." I'm like, "Okay, that's news to me." So I, luckily enough, was going to meet some German girls for coffee that day, and I told them my predicament. And they told me in Malmo, in Sweden, actually, there's a rule where you can camp on common ground for like an indefinite period of time, and they just so happen to have an extra tent that I could use. So I'm like, oh, genius! I'll just camp on the beach for a couple of days and figure out my housing situation. So I set up the tent on the beach, brought my bag into the train station, locked it up in the train station, went to class for the day, and went back to my tent on the beach in the nighttime. It's happened for 2 nights. Pretty rough nights, if I'm honest, until a classmate of mine found out that I was sleeping on the beach, and he goes, "Hey, Dan, you want to crash in my living room?" Like, yes, please. That sounds phenomenal. But that just kind of goes to show you, like, how fly by the seat of my pants I was and how laissez-faire I was with this whole approach. But, like, I wasn't going to quit, right? I wasn't going to give up on this and make this happen. It was a mess up on my side. I cocked it up, but I paid the price and made it work. And, like, I could have planned better. And, like, in life, I try to not get myself in situations where I don't plan that well. But, like, shit happens sometimes, Kate.
It's true, Dan. Just gonna sleep on the beach, baby. I mean, it sounds great, but yeah, I can't imagine it being that great.
No, it was not ideal, and it was pretty cold. Like, luckily, it was still September, so it was still not that cold in Sweden, but it was not warm, that's for sure. And it was pretty. Of course, I didn't tell this to my parents at the time. I was like, everything's going well.
Yeah.
Home's
Oh,
the word. Home's the word.
why don't you just find another hostel?
Everything was booked up for Malmo Festival.
Okay. Oh
And
my
I booked
god.
that for a week, so I was like, oh, I'm prepared. I got 1 week in the hostel, it should be fine. And then, I wanted to get a hotel. It was like $250 a night. I'm like, well, I can't afford that. I'm a student. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas in this vibe, but like, I made it work.
Wow, that's amazing. And your story is so impactful, and the fact that you're using humor to promote everything, whether it be your healing or whether it be your work now, really goes to show you what a great guy you are. And how much, humor really has helped you in your healing process and everything that you've been through in life.
Well, thank you, Kate. It's very kind of you. May I ask you a question or two, Kate? Is that okay?
Yes. Oh, let's flip it, baby.
So I wanted to ask you, you've done maybe 3 or 4 episodes of this, maybe more that are not released. What's been the theme that you've seen from the people you've interviewed on the podcast with regards to humor? What's been like a through line from the interviews you've done so far?
That it's really helpful in the C-suite and how it promotes teamwork, collaboration, innovation, creativity, and authenticity, and how much C-suite people are really, it used to be, if your boss walked in the room, everyone would shut up and, like sort of that power role. And it's really, people coming into the workplace now are really expecting leaders to lead with authenticity and to talk like a human being, so that's really what I've gotten out of it, and how much and how powerful and how crucial humor is in the C-suite.
So crucial, right? I like that
Yeah.
a lot. And Kate, a question about podcasting, because I've got a podcast, as I mentioned, that's on hold right now. If you could go back in time and tell yourself before you started this podcast that you've got going now, which I must say, Kate, it's pretty impressive. I listened to all the episodes so far.
Thank you.
What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your person before the podcast about what podcasting is all about and what you should take on board mindset-wise?
Just get the right people around you to help you. Know your strengths. And for me, I can record them, but and just you know what? You know what I've learned? Listening, first of all. And just learning how to ask the right questions, which I'm still working on.
Listening's key, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that interesting as well. Very cool advice. Thank you, Kate, for humoring my questions. I appreciate that.
Oh, I love that. It's super fun. You're amazing. Dan Macqueen,